Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 32 of Never Before Seen. My name is AmberCyprian. I will be your host tonight as we bring you speedruns of games that have never before been seen in a mainline GDQ event. As always, if you happen to speedrun a game or a category that has never been run in an AGDQ, SGDQ, or GDQx, and you'd like to submit it to the show, type !NBS into the chat to find the link to be able to send me your runs, and I would love to have you. So before we get started with the runs that we have planned for tonight, we do have a few announcements. First and foremost, Summer Games Done Quick is coming up on June 26th, running all the way through to July 3rd. Prize submissions are now open, so if you want to submit a prize, go to gamesdonequick.com for more information on that. And Frame Fatales will be having its next all-women speedrunning event known as Flame Fatales in late August. Type !FF into Twitch chat, or go to gamesdonequick.com/framefatales for more information on that as well. So tonight here on Never Before Seen, we're going to be taking a dive into indie games that have mastered the art of telling masterful stories with very little to no dialogue. Joining us tonight are Tasselfoot with GRIS, all mementos, and later on tonight we're going to have TGH on to showcase TUNIC any percent. So if you love pretty games with good soundtracks, delightful visuals, and deeper stories under the hood, be sure to sit tight because I've got Tasselfoot with me right now, and he's excited to show y'all everything there is to GRIS. How are you tonight, Tasselfoot? Thanks for being on.
Hey, Amber. Thank you for that lovely intro. I am great, and happy Pride Month to you and everyone.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Happy Pride, everyone.
Yeah. So we're running GRIS here. We have about 3 minutes of cutscenes at the start here, so I think we can just kick it off and then talk about the run and all of that good stuff. So we'll say in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So this is GRIS. GRIS. It is not pronounced GRI. I know that's a big issue right off the bat. Pronounced GRIS. It is Spanish for gray by Nomada Studios, who is a dev team based in Barcelona. And this was released in like December 2018. And it is a games as art 2D platformer with some light puzzle elements. Strap yourselves in. We're doing all mementos. That means we are going to see all of the cutscenes, is I guess a decent way of putting this. We're going to collect 28 mementos. If you're feeling feisty, chat, feel free to call some orbs out. Be my guest. They do look like orbs. And yeah, they're throughout the whole game. There are going to be a number of tight cycles and focusing around very small optimizations of movement. There are no major skips in this category on any version. Any percent, there is a down patch with a out of bounds and a skip, but it would skip a memento. So even on down patch versions, there are no major skips in this category. And those 28 mementos are going to be all throughout the game, pretty evenly spaced. About this game, so as Amber mentioned, the theme of tonight, we have some beautiful games with little to no text. GRIS is on the latter end. There is no text in this game. It is told completely through the art and through the audio of the game. Shout out to Berlinist. They are the group that did the whole orchestration. It's ridiculously good. There we go. Hey, shout outs to Berlinist. So basically, a synopsis of stuff is our mother just passed away, and we are going through the five emotions of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And those are going to be represented through 5 colors. They're white, red, green, blue, and yellow. And we're going to kind of traverse through all of those as we go. You'll note that I said that they're the 5 emotions of grief, not the 5 stages, because grief is a process that we go through. It is not a linear process. We sometimes backtrack, we sometimes jump forward, and this game does an excellent job of exemplifying that fact as well. So you'll see, and I'll point out as we go, that we're gonna colors blend together. We're gonna move back through old colors as we progress to new colors. and the entire game is one giant map. So there are a lot of areas where we're jumping up stairs to reach to a new part of it, or we're traversing a long horizontal distance and we're traveling over an older area that we've already been to. And all of that kind of ties into this notion that about our journey of grief that we're going through over the loss of our mother. And you'll see that we are in denial. That is represented by white here, our stark contrast, our bleak background. And obviously, you'll notice that I am bunny hopping. So very early on in the days, some amazing community member, I don't recall who anymore, built a tool and a mod to be able to read speeds for the game. And we noticed very quickly that when you are single jumping in the air, you have a relative speed of 3.3. And when you are walking on flat ground, you have a speed of 3.2. So it is roughly 3% faster to be in the air than to be on the ground. Your walking speed is less if you're going up hills, and there's some other finer details of it that I might hit on later, but the basic point of it is that it's about 3% faster to bunny hop. So we will be doing that throughout the entire run. So, if you want to jump along, you'll get some great exercise. Don't know if I would recommend it, but, you're welcome to it. There's only one memento here, at least for now, in the denial stage. There's technically a second one, but we can't get it yet. So we won't be able to skip any cutscenes. This is a little star. The stars are mandatory collectibles for main game progression. So those are all part of the any percent. I actually don't know how many stars there are in the game. Around 20, I think, total. There's about 4 to 5 in each section, and they create pathways that we need to be able to progress forward, as opposed to the mementos, which are all optional. And there's really only one free memento of the 28. The other 27 are all take some extra time to go out of our way. So also, we're going to jump into as many cutscenes as we can. For whatever reason, the cutscenes basically will start when your horizontal plane gets into them, not when you reach the ground. So if you jump into them, you just get a little bit of extra distance. It can save you anywhere from about half a second to 2 seconds. Oh no, we went the wrong way. Nope, we went the right way because we're getting mementos, and there's our first one. Gotcha, chat. Haha. Yeah, there is a second one, memento, but we can't get it now. We'll come back for it later. So for now, that's the only one that we're gonna get. Movement in this game can be really satisfying, even if it's simple. Most notably upstairs. So hopefully I can do a little bit here. Nope, not there, but I can do a little gliding upstairs. It almost feels like that wasn't the best stair movement, but yeah, we'll have a really big staircase coming up in a second, and it feels very good to glide your way up the stairs. And a lot of that is based around the fact that you can slightly buffer your jumps. GRIS is designed to be it's much more about the narrative than as opposed to something like Celeste, where the challenge is a large part of it. This is much more just about the journey itself. And so a lot of the mechanics that are built into this game are very forgiving for the player, like coyote jumps and buffering inputs, and cycles are pretty forgiving. And there are all sorts of ways that we take advantage of it. So this is a hand. I'm sure everyone's familiar with hands. You probably all have at least one of them, maybe two if you're lucky. So every chapter, this is the end of Denial right here. Every chapter is going to end by jumping into a hand. And if you pay close attention, you might see that the hand is going to change. We won't spoiler anything here for you. You guys will see. But pay attention to the hands. Also pay attention to color palettes. Notice that it's not all white anymore. We can start moving most of the time when the cutscenes fully get back to a 16:9, as opposed to the kind of CinemaScope viewpoint. So here's our satisfying, don't fall in the hole satisfying stair movement there. There's little bobbles. Whether I'm not sure if you guys noticed, I noticed them, but most cutscenes like here, so we get into that kind of cinematic view, and we'll be able to start moving again once it gets back to the 16:9. Except there's like 3 times throughout the game where this is not true, and as soon as the camera stops panning, you can move again before it actually goes. Why there is that inconsistency, I do not know, and probably it's just one of those pedantic things that only speedrunners notice. But it bugs me. So, there we go. Time that little jump there for as soon as it goes, and we get some smooth moves. And we are heading off to Anger.
That is quite the sentence, by the way. We are heading off to Anger. It's like, what are we angry at? But no, seriously, this is a game that we had back on in late March. We had the Any Percent category on by Cutie-Roo, and Tasselfoot reached out to me to showcase all mementos. Because if I recall, like, this is a game that is like very, very like important or had an impact on you, and like I think you have a tattoo related to it. Am I wrong?
I do. I don't have similar experiences in terms of, you know, my parents are both alive, thankfully. But yeah, I just for me, so my 2 main speed games that I've run in my time are this and Untitled Goose Game. And they're not exactly similar games. They're a little bit opposite from each other, but I don't know. I have a tattoo that are similar in companion for both of the games, and I look at it as embracing the chaos but searching for order.
Ooh. Like it's really interesting, like hearing the like different impact, even if it's not a, hey, I went through this and this game helped me like put that to words or like cope with those feelings, but rather having an impact maybe in like what you do. Like as a speedrunner, this was one of your 2 main speed games alongside Goose Game, and it's just so honestly really interesting whenever I ask someone like, hey, how'd you get into this game? Which actually I'm about to ask you, how did you get into this game?
GDQ, actually, which you might be confused since, you know, never before seen. But for, I think it was AGDQ 2019, shortly after this game came out, it was one of the sponsored games because it's published by Devolver Digital, and they are a big sponsor of games on GDQ. And so I was watching from home, and I saw that this was one of the sponsor games, and I went on Steam and I looked it up, and I was like, this game looks really fun. It would be good to play with my partner. And I bought a copy and went and checked it out, and then she didn't like it, actually. She was like, I'm bored by this game, but I really enjoyed it, and I thought it would make for like a good, relaxing speedrun, which it is. Highly recommend this game if like you've always been a lurker or a watcher of GDQ content and speedruns, and you're always been afraid to try to get into it. I think this is an incredibly approachable and chill and easy speed game to learn. So, if that's you out there, lurker, we would love to have you in the GRIS speedrunning community.
Yeah, it's actually worth noting that when I had Cutie-Roo on for my show back in late March, she was still rather new to the game and actually PB'd during that run. So, like, it goes to show that, like, anyone can pick up the game and, you know, run it in a showcase style, whether you are very new to it or you are, you're a seasoned veteran like Tasselfoot here.
Yeah.
So, like, definitely take a look at it.
Yeah. Chat wants to know if Nomada Studios has created anything else. No. So I think they are a team of ex-Ubisoft. I think the team worked on like one of the Rainbow Six games, if I believe correctly. And they left that and they made this. Sorry, focusing. I have an audio cue right there. Because we have a cycle skip that we're going to try to get here, and that's where it starts. Anyway, I'll explain that in a second. Yo, Devolver Digital, friends. So yeah, I think you guys are familiar with this game, but no, Nomada has not made anything since. I would love details and information on any future games that they may have up and coming, because I'm sure they're going to be amazing. I have no doubts. So, all right, so we're going to try to do a sandstorm skip, is what we call it right here. And it's finicky. Okay. So we at least got a partial skip. So basically, this is the only spot in this whole sequence of sandstorms where you're actually moving in the direction of the sandstorm. So we use the wind to push us further to the left there, so that we get more distance, so that we can move farther to the right here, so that we can eventually skip a sandstorm cycle up ahead. All right, I'm gonna play it safe. There, okay. So this is a partial skip. If I had made it to the top platform, it would be a full skip. It's just a 2-second time difference on that. But, okay. So in the sandstorm, if you are not on the ground and not holding a directional input into the sandstorm, into the wind, it will immediately roll you up and push you backwards. So what you have to do is you have to jump, hold left in the air, but then hold right before you hit the ground, jump again, and then hold left to get the distance. And you have to do that 3 times. We call that shimmying.
I appreciate that name.
It's super fun when you get the timing down for it, and it's not terribly hard, but it does take some muscle memory and practice on it. So right here, we should hopefully skip the sandstorm. Yeah, so there would be a sandstorm right there, but because we got the shimmies, we were able to skip that, and we triggered basically we triggered a save point which reset the cycles. And so it makes me really happy. It's one of the cooler tricks in this run. So as I was saying, like, there aren't a ton of like really hard technical tricks that you might see in some other games, but the sandstorm skip is definitely one of them. And shout out to world record holder Skylar, who they're the ones who found that skip. And we're gonna get our first power up right here. Can we get a breakdown on a shimmy versus a wiggle? That I don't know. I'm unfamiliar with the wiggle.
Shimmy versus wiggle. I mean, shimmy definitely is just the superior thing to pronounce.
Yeah.
And just like our wonderful producer Richard has posted in the chat as an announcement, if you are enjoying this run, you should check out Tasselfoot over on Twitch. Because Tass is pretty cool, not gonna lie.
I paid you to say that.
I mean, I've had you on for marathons before, that I've done outside of GDQ, and just, it's never a bad experience, honestly.
Thanks. So this is our first power-up. We had to backtrack to get that memento. That was our 4th memento there. And so this is our heavy power-up. Right, so we're angry. This is the red anger section. So we get kind of an angry power up that we can like break stuff. Sometimes I refer to it as thick grease, but you know, square grease. A lot of names for her in a heavy state. This is basically a tutorial teaching us 9, 10, 11, 12. It's consistent. There is very little RNG in this game. When you deposit the stars into the sky at the end of each area, that actually has programmatic-based RNG of the star movement. You would never know it playing casually, but it's there in the game code. We looked, and there's a couple of these little rock creatures, and their movement is RNG, and the biggest one is right here. And Homeboy is moving away. So that was a worst RNG right there. Waiting on our boy, the Rock Taxi here. Unfortunate. But on the other side, the Rock Taxi RNG is all mementos and all achievements only. We do not come over here in an any percent run, because the only reason we are coming over here is for our 5th memento. And we're going to try to do another shimmy here to, again, save a cycle on collecting this memento. Didn't get the shimmy, but still saved the cycle anyway. Just barely. Whew. Yeah, so if we get if I'd been able to get down a shimmy, which is, because the platforms aren't the same level, it's a little bit trickier. It messes with your muscle memory from the normal shimmies on the timing. But you'd be able to jump and get shimmies and like just get further distance back to the left. So, and save a few seconds that we weren't able to do, but getting the one cycle is the important part there. And now we're going to head off to the second section. Chat, I will take your opinions here on the symbolism of this section. What is your interpretation?
I think that they're probably going to get something going in just a moment because of stream delay. But in the meantime, I'm actually really interested because I know back in March, I definitely like had a lot of commentary because it's like the first time in like several years I had watched the whole game through. I'd watched my partner play through this on his stream back in early 2019. Because a friend of ours actually had gifted it to him, probably because they discovered it the same way you did through GDQ sponsors.
Awesome.
But yeah, I remember actually like this section being incredibly beautiful in motion because of the background. Just this whole game is beautiful.
Oh, and the backgrounds are ridiculous throughout. I have a favorite background. I will point that out when we get there. This is the hardest trick in the game. Not actually, but I jokingly say it because when I was not as good at the game as I am now, I would always fail that cycle on that windmill. The windmills actually move slower if GRIS is standing on them. So like GRIS's weight impacts the speed that they rotate at. So just one more reason to always stay hopping. There's going to be another little rock creature up here that also has RNG movement, but thankfully even bad RNG only loses 1 second. So that's not too terrible. But and of course we have the bad RNG here. We just have to wait a second to start moving back to the right. When that little rock guy is full left, you can't make the jump. All right. There we go. So this whole area, this second half of the anger section is very cycle based, with all of these like gears and movements and clockwork type pieces. So pretty much all of your time loss is in 6-second chunks minimum. And then it tends to like, a lot of it lines up really well. So if you miss one, it will wind up snowballing into larger time loss, which we don't want. We're going to try to avoid that. So we're off to collect more Mentos.
Touching on the request for chat's interpretation of the section where you were descending into this into the windmill area. Someone saying outburst. Someone saying the birds represent your anger at this section because this portion has an achievement that's incredibly frustrating. Someone else says breaking your own walls to face things and the release that comes with it, perhaps.
I think you are all correct, chat. Every answer is a good answer, except for the one about the achievements. No, even that's valid. I'm outside of speedrunning, I am a diehard achievement hunter, 100% completionist person. So, we gotta live that achievement life. Oh, hey, there we go. Okay, so did that look weird to you right there, by any chance?
It did.
Right, so that was an insta-heavy. So I don't have like a flawless explanation for how to explain insta-heavies, but basically, if you do a heavy pixel perfect on the edge of something, so in this case that was on the edge of the breakable versus non-breakable boundary of that piece of rock, the game doesn't like having grease open up into heavy grease, into like inside of objects, which is what would have happened there. And so instead the game kind of panics and just instantly opens into the heavy, negating the animation. So getting an insta heavy is a pixel perfect trick that saves the heavy animation, which is not exactly, but roughly half of a second. So not a big time save, but very swaggy. And we go for swag around here. Okay, here's more RNG. More bad RNG. This has basically been worst possible RNG for this run.
He just waddled out of the way just to spite you. It's like, oh, cool, this might actually work. No, I'm gone.
Yup.
You're gonna wait.
Yup. It's like a 10-second long cycle, and there's about a second and a half where it's no good. And of course, that's the second and a half that we walked into, give or take. But we can't impact RNG. We can only impact the execution of everything else. And we're not going for PBs and world records here. Not really. Just trying to do a good, clean showcase. And so far, so good. Totally jinxing myself, but so far, so good. Yeah, jumping is 3% faster than walking on flat ground, and even more so on like inclines. Much slower to walk up inclines. So yeah, so if you're fast right there, you can make it like casually. You're supposed to do this to get the balloon low enough so you can jump over and get the star. But we're a speedy grease, and we can make that cycle. We do still need to ride the balloon in the Mentos category, though. And you'll see why right here. So, and just like the windmill, the balloon travels up slower if we're standing on it. So we do extra jumpies for that as well. And this is our final memento in red.
That slide looks like that sliding animation looks so slick.
Yeah. Oh, so I haven't touched on it, but we've done some slides in a couple places, and there's going to be a number of additional slides throughout the rest of the run. If you jump off the... Okay, that cycle worked out perfectly. It was a little sketch, but it was pretty flawless. We didn't fall down, didn't have to stop. So momentum. If you jump off the end of one of those momentum slides, which are automatic, like I don't have to hold anything, they just go. But if you jump off the end of them, you'll preserve your momentum speed, which is faster than your normal speed. So we do that in a lot of places to just go a little bit faster.
Yeah, that's sort of similar to some of the Celeste movement tech for the game that y'all just saw over on Mercy Kill. You can actually preserve Madeline's momentum in various ways throughout the game, including in transitions between screens. So
slightly more ways than in GRIS, and you have a lot more control over being able to preserve that momentum than this. But they're basically the same game.
Oh, absolutely.
I was gonna tell TGH that if he wanted to play an actual hard platformer instead of Celeste, he could try GRIS. So I don't know if he could handle that or not, but maybe. You said he played it casually, so
he did. Like he really enjoyed the art style of the game, and like it was a really nice, chill game to watch him play in between all the Celeste he was doing at the time too.
Yeah, no, it is. It's definitely, again, so even if it's not the sort of thing where I said before that if you're new and looking to get into speedrunning, like if you're looking for a change of pace game, if you run something that's really intense and you want something else that's just going to be a chill vibes and relaxing speedrun, again, this is a great game to counter off your main speedrun or something, as another example. So
yeah, and the any percent category on average is how long again? It's like under an hour, right?
No, it's about 11 minutes faster than this for the no major glitches.
Oh, okay. So it's just over an hour or so.
It's about an hour 25 at the fastest. I think I think there's 3 of us that have like 124s, or yeah. So I think the world record is like 124 something. I forget exactly.
Oh, okay.
By Skylar. So yeah, I think most people in, if they do a handful of runs, can get at or around about a 130.
Yeah, that checks out. I don't know what I was. Maybe I'm mixing it up with like the longer Tunic true ending category. I'm not entirely sure which game I'm thinking of that's like about an hour, but this is not it.
No, not. So that pot right there, that puts me on Team Green. It's a very contentious pot because I broke it, but I didn't use it right there. What that is we released some red birds. We're going to use those red birds in like 45 minutes from now. But you can break the pot now, or you can break the pot right before you need to use it when you come back. And I would say about 80% of the runners break it now and are on Team Green. And about 20% of the runners break it right before they need it and they're on Team Yellow. And big feuds between Team Green and Team Yellow. Makes no difference.
I was going to say, is that the significance between like the color that you're in right now versus the color you're going to?
Yeah, so I'm breaking it because we're heading into the green section. And if you broke it later, you would be breaking it as you're heading into the yellow section.
Okay.
So basically, that's going to be the path to get us to yellow. But since we can't actually use birds yet, we will soon, but we can't yet. So we can't go there. There were just, speaking of, there were just some more birds there. They blocked our path, so we can't go back now. And so right now we're actually traveling above the denial section that we started the game at. That entire bridge just basically had us bop our way above denial. And so now we are in the forest of bargaining. Green represents bargaining. Yeah, white is denial, red is anger, green is bargaining, blue is depression, and yellow is acceptance. This is a very just chill section. The next, however, handful of minutes for the first half of green. There's some cycles. They're not particularly challenging. We're going to meet a near and dear friend along the way.
Yes. If anyone was paying attention to the GDQ Twitter when the show went live about 30 minutes ago or so, you'll recognize this area and you might know what we're talking about with a near and dear friend.
Oh, they're to the left right there.
Oh, a precious child. We must protect them.
So, yeah, this section is not a ton that goes on, at least for the first few minutes. We kind of just bop around. But we are gonna stomp some apples. I think that's like kind of the highlight.
Meanwhile, the person who actually gave TGH a gift, a copy of this game back in 2019, just entered the chat and has a wonderful emote for this section. But no, this is a game that I actually should sit down and play at some point.
Everything makes total sense. Good friend, FC Racer, for sure, and GRIS Speedrunner. It all's coming together.
Yep. Oh my goodness. I'm just like, I'm really happy to have like this. I don't have games on twice often because very often I can't find another runner for the category that hasn't been on my show, or the category is extremely long and I can't like fit it into a hotfix format. But I'm just like really thrilled to have a game this beautiful on the show like twice in 1 year.
Yeah, thank you for letting the game be showcased twice. Like any ability to show this game to more people, the better. And thank you for the good luck, Racer. So there is a friend. They're not on screen because they don't move at the bop speed that we do. I think they're coded. Macaroni is what we call our forest friend. Macaroni, I think, moves at a static 3.2, whereas so they wind up off screen as we bop along. And so, chat, you might be wondering why Macaroni. This is a game that has no text, so characters have no names, and I can answer that for you. So if you look, you can see that Macaroni has 3 feathers in their head. And if you're familiar with the song Yankee Doodle, Yankee Doodle stuck a feather in their hat and called it macaroni. And basically in like old-timey or turn of the century English, that meant that it was super cool calling something macaroni. And so I was like, they've got a whole bunch of feathers in their head. That's pretty macaroni to me. So they were dubbed macaroni.
I am today years old at what like macaroni meant in that song. I always didn't understand because I always thought of like Kraft macaroni and cheese. I was like, why is it macaroni? And I just thought it was like a yellow feather or something. I have no idea. But now I understand that it was just the cool term. It was the cool kids term.
Yeah, it was like the based of its time. I think, right? Am I using that correctly? I'm old.
I don't know. Like, I thought me turning 29 like last week made me old, but here we are.
No, I'm 38.
Macaroni. Slang?
I'm not old enough to have lived through. Okay, so there was a tiny bit of tech right there also. Chat, if you were paying attention closely, that was not a glitch in the Matrix or a glitch in the game. Well, it was a little bit of a glitch in the game. You saw me jump forward slightly. That's what we call a zip. Basically, GRIS does not like getting her neck chopped in half. Frankly, I don't think any of us do. It's kind of frowned upon. I don't like having my neck cut in half. But if GRIS has her neck like bisected by a diagonal object or diagonal like piece of geometry, she will get pushed forward in the downward sloping direction. And so that's what I did right there. So I like jumped and zipped forward like, I don't know, a couple of frames. Again, mostly swag. A macaroni, formerly spelled macaroni, was a pejorative term used to describe a fashionable fellow of the mid-18th century England. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like very fashionable, and like it was like another like a very similar term like that followed was the word dandy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I said cool, but exactly. Similar type, yeah.
Still checks out. I had to look it up because I was like, wait, how have I never known this in my entire life? But the more you know.
Yeah, it's interesting how short-lived slang words are, right? Like, I think it's, maybe 5 to 10 years or even less, like, lots of slang hangs around. Like, we don't call anything jive anymore.
Oh my god.
But there was a time where that was the you know, like my parents growing up, that was a so We can now say goodbye to Macaroni, though. We're not going to see them again, unfortunately. They gave us a star, so it was super helpful. And pretty soon we're going to be able to use the red birds.
Yeah, we earlier tonight, because I see someone saying, "Yo, this whole schedule tonight was stacked." Absolutely, like it's just a banger after banger of indie game on between Mercy Kill and Never Before Seen tonight. And everyone's just like, don't use Jive anymore. I specifically have a memory of high school because I went to Boston Arts Academy, and before Thanksgiving every year, the entire staff would put on like a Thanksgiving play for the students. And the last play I remember seeing was they were on the search for the Jive turkey. And I don't remember much else, but I just remember everyone just dying at the term Jive turkey, and we had no idea what it was supposed to be.
Good times. So, you may notice that we're not bopping our way around here, and that is for good reason, because these trees alternate when we jump, and it would be very difficult. It would be very difficult to bop there. It is actually possible, like if you tasked this game, you could bop your way through it, but if you're playing as a human, it's a little risky of a strat.
Yeah,
I did do the swag jump there at the end. The one where it's like, oh my god, did you miss the jump? If you jump there too early, there's a barrier at the bottom that you can't get over, and so you'd have to go back and like do that whole section again. But I did the swag thing, and so we made the jump. Professional right here. So now we have another power-up. We can double jump now.
And double jumps, we don't have the like... Is there like an additional glide, or is it just like you're floaty after the second jump, as it is?
So if you hold down the jump button on the second jump, you'll glide. That's basically how it works. So you can control you're gliding like right here. So I'm holding it down.
Oh, yep.
And so that's how it works. But again, because of move speed, you don't want to be in that glide state unless you have to be. You want to be continuing to single jump as much as possible. So there will be plenty of situations where we have to glide, but we're going to try to do it still as little as possible. The flip side is we can't buffer jumps anymore, because if I buffer jumps, it just turns into a double jump. And now we can also use the red birds. And also, the red birds tend to send us vertical. But if we jump cancel, we can turn a lot of that vertical movement and momentum into horizontal. So it might not always be like easy to notice, but we're going to be doing a lot of jump canceling. More bad RNG. Just to keep pointing it out. I think that's actually the last piece of RNG in the game, right there. Those birds circling around the tree. So we hit the trifecta on all of the bad RNG.
I'm sorry, it looks like my bad randomizer seed RNG has like definitely come to curse the run. I've had some rough seeds lately, but it is what it is.
It's my understanding that there is actually no such thing as a good seed in a randomizer. I don't think they exist.
I don't think they exist either. Like, not after like the last few months of playing almost exclusively randomizer content. I just love just the sweeping, like, almost liquid-like animation of the trees appearing and disappearing.
Yeah, it's really nice. And because they all appear and disappear from like the bottom up, it's another one of those features where it's forgiving to the player, because the platform to stand on doesn't disappear until it's fully disappeared itself. So even if it's like half disappearing, you can still stand on it and jump off of it again. But I did play it a little bit safe on that last tree there. I thought it was going to be really tight on whether I was going to make it or not, and I didn't want to risk it. So I just waited for the next cycle. But we're going to meet another friend, maybe, here. Potential friend? Yeah.
Friend.
Question mark?
Friend.
Everyone is a friend until they prove otherwise.
Yeah, so friend, right? Oh, not friend. Maybe not friend. So we need to go teach this bird that it should be our friend, right?
Correct. So a little, you can see slightly little bits of red poking back in, especially around the bird. So maybe a little bit of anger, maybe. So this is like kind of a boss chase that we're in, you know? Maybe it's like Oshiro, I don't know, potentially.
That is definitely a big, angry bird. So the red makes perfect sense here.
Yeah. It's not a very happy bird.
No. But also GRIS is dealing with some not very happy emotions either.
No, we're going through some stuff. Like, rightfully so, you know? Like, I don't think anyone judges what we're going through.
Yeah, because, you know, grief is a very heavy thing and a very complex thing as well.
For sure. Doesn't, you know, no two people handle it the same way.
Oh, not at all. There are people who, you know, go through, you know, all of the different emotions of grief. And then there's some who only experience a couple of them, some who don't experience any of them, some people who cope in different ways. And I think that's one of the beauties of this game being a game without dialogue and trying to share its story in that way, because it leaves it up to interpretation for the player and how they process it, just like actual grief.
Yeah. We're going to give the bird a hug, though, right now. Okay, wait, I did that terribly wrong. So I just tried to learn a new strat right before, an easier strat right before the start of this run. So let me do it correctly this time. Nope, somehow still did it wrong. This is supposed to be the easy way of doing this trick, and I'm screwing it up. All right, third try. There we go.
There we go, that looked better.
Yeah, so that's bird blow. The bird reacts really weird when you go trying to give it hugs. So angry bird does not like hugs and reacts oddly. But yeah, shout outs to Crystal Saver for finding that easier way that I managed to screw up twice. Crystal Saver is a blindfolded speedrunner, and they set out and found routes for all three of the categories blindfolded, and did and completed runs. And so that was one of the blindfolded strats that they found.
That's actually incredible. So, like, with the way that you have to share your screen to me for me to be able to see this, both this time and the last time I had this game on the show, I have not been able to have any audio whatsoever, so I actually don't know what audio cues are in the game.
Oh, there's a good bit, but I think also a lot of it is movement within heavy. So like your movement when you're in the heavy state is really consistent, and you can hear the steps of each heavy.
Yeah.
Okay, good enough there. So this is like our boss fight right here. We had the boss chase, and now we have the boss fight. That was phase 1. Okay. Not very good on my part, but still fine. We won. We won our boss fight. And that's bargaining. More stairs, though. Lots of stairs in this game.
I mean, you have to ascend to, new heights here. And, on your journey to learning how to live with and cope with grief.
Yeah, there was someone said something like that made a ton of sense about stairs and their relation to like processing grief and the overall grief experience. And I would restate that if I could remember what it was, but I can't. I just remember that I read it and in the last run that Rue did, and I was like, oh, that makes a ton of sense. That's a really good explanation for like the metaphor of stairs throughout this entire game being everywhere. And I don't remember it. So if that person happens to be watching the run again, I would love to get that explanation a second time.
So would I. Oh, I love the shades of blue they used for depression here.
So, and again, hands. You can see the statue. Our statue of Mom there is a lot more complete than it was when I called it out at the end of Denial. I didn't call it out at the end of Anger, but there was a whole arm at the end of Anger, whereas at the end of Denial, it was just the hand. So this is, we can save some time here with a blind jump. Yep, got it. Nice. Okay, yeah, it's a really tight blind window there to get the input. And you can miss it both early and late. So if you miss it early, you just jump into the inside of the wall of that like structure. And if you miss it late, you fall into the water. And they both lose about 1.5 seconds. But from my head, I count it off in my head that from the time that Gris's sprite disappears, it's about 1.75 seconds to doing the input. So a little under 2 seconds. Okay, didn't mean to do that. Meant to jump on this so I can get up here. That's fine. So now that we have water, so like we're doing a backtrack at the end of green still, but we've got a whole lot of our depression blues and it's raining. We also have water. And so we can talk about traveling in water. So right now, traveling in water is incredibly slow. It is the slowest way to travel. I don't remember the numbers on it, but it's really slow. And especially underwater traveling. So like underwater traveling is slower than surface traveling, which is slower than walking, which is slower than jumping. So we're going to try to spend as little time as possible in the water, and then especially as little time as possible underwater. And there's some just, little small stuff that we do. So by gliding and continuing to hold our jump and glide into the water, we don't fall as far underwater. So if you like fall into the water without holding your glide, you'll like cannonball a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I actually never really noticed the slight differences in physics the few times I've watched this game through, but it all makes sense. And like I know for the casual like playthrough wouldn't really make a whole lot of difference. But for speedruns, especially like a game like this that doesn't have like major sequence breaks or anything like that, optimization and understanding the way the physics like let you move the slowest or the fastest is extremely important.
Yeah. So if I can just take a second, we're in the depression section here. Chat, if you're out there, if you're lurking, if you're listening, pay attention for a second. I want you all to know that you matter. You're important to a lot of people. And if you're having some dark times, if you're experiencing depression, suicide is not the answer. You're loved and you should talk to someone. And I just want to make sure that you all know that.
Yeah, there are resources wherever you might be. There are resources that you can reach out to, whether it is someone close to you or it is, a dedicated hotline or anything like that. There are resources for you, and just like it, it does get better. You just have to push through what you're going through right now and allow yourself to process it. So it's like exactly what I do at the end of every one of my own streams. I always close with reminding people to get up, stretch, take care of themselves, get something to eat. If you have vitamins or medication that you need to take, please take them, because you're important, and you are valid and valuable to yourself and to those around you. And look after yourself and those around you, especially.
Exactly. So that we did a little trick there. It was called heavy dive skip. So if you just did a normal heavy over that breakable gap, you would fall into water, and it would be really slow to get back up out of. So instead, if you break it right on the corner, you don't. It still breaks, but you don't fall into it, and then you can drop down and get into the gap, and it saves 5 seconds. I wanted to show the trick off, so I lost a second or two setting it up. Normally, I just do that setup-less, but trying to make sure that we hit as many tricks as we can here in the showcase.
Yeah, because showing off, it's a showcase. We're not going for PBs, world records, or anything like that. Showcases are here to show off the game, at its best, or even at the here's everything you can do in it. Yep. I might not do it the fastest, but you can learn this and do it for yourself.
This is my favorite screen in the game.
It's beautiful.
Just take in the screen. It's so good. So this entire section that we're going through here, starting with the 2 water pools, all the way up by the hub, this is all on a giant cycle. We're traveling way down through this underground cave, and we're gonna wind up in an ice cavern. And that ice cavern is already going through its cycles. It starts its timing back all the way up at the top. And so we can only save or lose time in 8-second increments based on the cycles of the ice cavern. And so we'll see if we make the good cycle or not. The real good cycle. Probably not. So I was really active speedrunning this game almost every day about 2 years ago, but I've not spent a ton of time playing it in the past 2 years, apart from some quality derusting time recently to get into showcase shape here. So my movement isn't quite as good as it was in my heyday, but we're doing the best we can, and we'll see if we can make that good cycle. We got our 1 memento in this section. So most of the sections of the game have 7 mementos, but for whatever reason, blue only has 5.
How many total are there in the game?
28.
Okay.
And so basically, so red, green, and yellow each have 7, and then white has 2, and blue has 5. Although one of the denial ones we still haven't collected, and we're going to collect after we finish blue.
Okay. I assume you needed a specific ability, or are you able to go back to previous chapters and with the new ability?
We'll see.
Okay.
I'm going to say no, I did not make the best cycle, because I had a few seconds to spare there to get that heavy down, so we probably lost 1 cycle. It's usually pretty tight, but that's fine. We didn't need those 8 seconds anyway. One of the cool things, and again, this again relates to the game being forgiving, you can exit out of your heavy a little bit early, and it will still properly register your ice statue. So we take advantage of that here. So if you played casually, not this cycle, But this next cycle right here, you probably weren't able to get this. Even if, like, you knew about it, you probably weren't able to get that. And that's because you can only get it if you exit out of the previous one before the cycle actually starts. Pretty easy to do once you know that that is a tech that exists, but if you don't know that it exists, you're gonna wonder what you're doing wrong. And we're gonna use that in some other ways as well, because it doesn't just relate to heavying; it relates to some other powers too. Yeah, we lost one cycle, but we have our third power up. Now, the water is friend.
Friend.
Precisely. Yeah.
All I can think about is the green aliens from Toy Story right now.
So, water went from being like the slowest way of traveling to now being the fastest way of traveling. And there's some cool things that we're going to be able to do now that water is fast. Now that we are like personifying Katie Ledecky. She is an Olympic swimmer. For those of you not in the know of swimming. I was going to do Michael Phelps, but I wanted to do a woman for GRIS.
No, that makes more sense now. And like, as someone who can't swim, that went way over my head. And you were like, she's an Olympic swimmer. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Michael Phelps would be the more well-known reference, but I didn't want to pick a dude.
Yeah, no, that was a good reference, not gonna lie. I also greatly appreciate this, the form of the sea flap flap. The majestic sea flap flap is basically what we are when swimming.
Yeah. Strong kicks that we've got.
Yes. Good twirls. But no, seriously, I actually think blue is my favorite color in the game because of the different areas, like the ice cavern, the area with all the mushrooms, and then even this is still beautiful.
Yeah, like the swimming and the movement underwater is really, really fun. It's another reason that I honestly think the true any percent category is not great, because this is actually the section that you skip by going out of bounds. You skip the entire underwater section, and it's like, the underwater section is super fun. Why would you want to skip it? Well, because you go faster. I mean, like, it's the speedrunner trade-off. Going fast versus having fun. Sometimes we get to do both.
Yeah. Like, and every now and again, there's a category designed specifically to allow you to have fun while going fast. Like, I believe, like, the any percent no skips category.
Yes. Just to be a little bit more approachable.
Mm-hmm.
So, some people might be wondering, whether there's ways to go faster than just going in a straight line. There's not, but you can get your dash back, your underwater dash here. Like, if you do a 180, it refreshes, but it is actually slower to do that when traveling straight, which I am so thankful for, because, that's not where we want to go. No, please. GRIS. There we go. So, like, right there, I just refreshed my dash real quick. That was not intended, by the way, to climb the tower like that. And just in case anyone wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, that did not look... That looked too tight to be intended for this game.
And another little skip right there. That is a turtle cutscene skip. So we trigger the start of this turtle cutscene, and then we travel south a little bit. So it's not actually a cutscene skip, but it does save 3 seconds by us being further down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But we still get stuck here. You still get stuck there. But basically what happens is the turtle just stops moving until we catch up with it. So this way the turtle just never stops moving. So, and you're not supposed to be able to heavy right there. That's supposed to be straight into a cutscene. But if you do it on like the immediately upon exiting the water, you can get a heavy in there. And traveling vertically, it's faster. If your vertical travel is more than 2 seconds in duration, it's faster to do a heavy if it's straight down. So that cutscene and like some of the earlier cutscenes, it's faster to heavy out of the water there and travel through them. So we traveled through Mom's backside in the cutscene and into the hand here. And you know, you can notice that she is kind of fully put back together.
I just love watching each of these cutscenes. The chapter ends are so beautiful.
Yeah, and so technically this is the end of Blue, even though it's going to be about 7 minutes before we actually get back to the hub. So most of the hubs are very, very quick after the hand placement and the chapter end, but this one is not. It's a little bit odd because we have a pretty long section coming up right here after a second half of this cutscene before we get kind of our hub return section. So I didn't actually like fully mention it, but basically at the start of the game we were talking about how this game is about, you know, the loss of our mother and all this stuff, but there's no text. The reason that there's no text is because with the loss of our mother, we lost our voice. And we felt that, you know, for whatever that reason, feeling sad, feeling dejected, or maybe it's a physical manifestation of our psychological pain that we're suffering. You know, if you want to take it more realistic or literally, you know, so we have no voice. And so if you hit your B button, you basically kind of just make like a sound all through this. And so like in the middle of that cutscene, it actually forces us to do that. And we make like a slightly larger noise. This is the eel. The eel is not friend either.
Yeah, no, the eel is definitely not a friend. No.
So we're now two eels, still not friend. But yeah, so we have no voice, and so that's like why there's no text, because we have no voice. This is an eel coming to chase me. Stay away, friend, for you are an eel. Now there's nightmares. Little itty bitty nightmares chasing us. Straight into the void.
Ooh.
This is the memorization section. Some people say that if you like look at the map of this section from like a zoomed out perspective, it looks like a shoe. I don't know if I agree with that, or even if I do, I don't know what the symbolism of that would be. So I don't equate it with any sort of imagery. I just kind of think it's this dark cave that we are traversing and like trying to escape from. And of course, collect a memento along the way.
Yeah, I don't think a shoe would have been completely intentional. I can't think of symbolism for it. It might have been just a happy accident for when they were designing the tunnel.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could definitely see designer making the tunnel in a shape that like had a purpose, but I don't think it's a shoe. This is the eel. Eel, 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 eel. He is not friend. Eel, 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 eel. Coming to get me. Eel, 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 eel.
It's giving me flashbacks of the eel boss in Mario Sunshine. That was not a fun eel.
This is... Well, it can't really hurt us, though.
It's trying.
Because... Turtle's here to save the day again. So thank you, Turtle, for our going to explode the eel's head. And we're so glad to be on Hot Fix with Amber. Let's go, Turtle, save the day again. Now we're gonna buy.
That was delightful.
That was my turtle song for you, Amber. I don't know if you know this, but that was ad-libbed.
No, it's all right. Ad-lib is my specialty.
So, you know, every time we do a little special showcasing of GRIS, there is its own unique turtle song.
I really enjoyed that. You can tell, like, I love when I have someone who, like, really is passionate about what they're playing or what they're running on the show. It's probably some of my favorite episodes I've ever produced.
Definitely top 32.
Yeah, you could say that.
So that was our second boss fight. The eel got exploded by Turtle Friend, and again, we say goodbye to the Turtle Friend, never to be seen again. And maybe they're hanging out with Macaroni. I don't know. We can hope. You know, we can have some headcanon. But so this is our return that we're doing. We got our little stars recollected again, and we're traversing our way back up through this cave. Note a lot of yellow here in the cave.
Yeah, we're starting to make that transition towards the yellow area, although you do have plans to go back and get a memento that was unobtained previously, right?
Yes, thank you very much for reminding me. This is our YOLO jump. Right there.
Nice.
Yeah, I found it by accident, because originally we all would land on that platform there.
Mm-hmm.
And then jump across. And one time I was trying to cut it very tight and accidentally just yeeted myself halfway across and got incredibly nervous and then made it and then timed it and realized it was 1 second faster.
Yo.
But if you screw it up, which you can, and you fall back into the water below, it loses 15 seconds. So a lot of risk for very little reward.
Hence the YOLO jump. Okay, that name makes a lot more sense now. Because on your quest to get the perfect run, you can lose 15 seconds and it's suddenly no longer the perfect run.
No, because there is so little RNG in this game, and because overall the platforming is relatively straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Top runners, I think, have between about 15 to 20 seconds of difference between some of best and PB. So yeah, losing 15 seconds on one jump is going to be a run killer.
Exactly.
So this is where we're going back to collect the memento that we missed before. This is Denial. Might not look like it, but we are back in Denial, and that is why we could not collect that before. It was underwater, or it was in the sky, and now the sky is underwater, so we can now collect it. So 7 more to go, hopefully. If anyone was counting, I hope it's 7. We're in trouble
considering
if it's
I didn't know how many we had until like some point in blue, I have not been counting.
I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Someone said this game was made from the same team of Rainbow Six game. Yes. So it's former Ubisoft devs who worked on Rainbow Six. And yes, the vibe on this game is slightly different than a Rainbow Six game.
Yeah, just a little bit.
But that's the difference between working on a passion project and working for a corporate overlord. So this is a new mechanic. We have light, and our little orbs of light disappear when we heavy because they don't like being angry. That was weird. I was supposed to dive out of the water there, and my dive input just didn't work. That's fine. So we're heading to acceptance, and acceptance is a little bit different than the other areas. Like, for one, there's kind of a much larger and more interactive travel period, like getting there. Like, when we went to bargaining, we basically just bopped our way around a bridge. But going to the acceptance main area, we have like actual platforming to do.
Mm-hmm.
There is a reason we're just chilling here, I promise. We're not. I didn't just like decide to hang out for a second. Yeah, had to go and collect a memento. That to me, that's a really cool memento, because like you can see the bird hiding inside that time locked area, and so you have to wait for it to disappear. And so that's the difference between red birds and yellow birds. So yellow birds are like light birds, and when you trigger them, they light up an area, but it's only temporary. So, but as I've been saying all along, the game is very forgiving and friendly, so the timing windows on all of the yellow birds are very generous, and pretty much. I don't think there's ever a time when I'm like, oh no, I am not going to make a yellow bird cycle. And so there's gonna be some cool momentum preservation in this section right here. Those jumps are very satisfying.
Yeah, the movement looks very satisfying.
Moving in and out of water is a lot of fun. Can be a little awkward constantly switching back and forth between D-pad and analog stick, but other than that, at least because for me, I only use analog stick when I'm doing water movement, and the rest of the time I'm playing with D-pad.
Yeah, that sounds about right, because most of the time you don't need full 360 movement.
So we are still not in the main hub area, but we are almost there. And again, one of the differences with this acceptance area and the other areas of the game is that we are actually going to travel the same pathways before and after we get our power up. And like when we were in the other three areas, we went to a new area once we got our power up. But we're actually not going to do that. We're going to use the same level design, just in a different way once we get our power up. And I think that's pretty cool. So, oh.
I think one thing I really, really love about the visuals in this particular area is that a lot of the plant life in this area like have splashes of colors that we've seen before. So like green, red, blue, yellow even now as well. Like it's just kind of like everything up together, like all together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such like, it's really satisfying, but also extremely beautiful to just see all the elements of the game just kind of coming together in this area here.
So this is my favorite section of the whole game. The movement in this like flippy floppy section is pretty challenging for the game, but incredibly satisfying. Like when you pull it off cleanly, which that was pretty clean right there. So I'm pretty happy. And with these little pools of water here, we're gonna jump in and out of them as much as we can, because getting that dive out of the water is faster than like gliding across it. So every little bit of water, we're basically a dolphin. And so there's only one more memento before we get our power up, and it's on this side. And then after we get the power up, there should be 4 remaining, and there'll be 2 on each side. But not too much to say about all of this, just some more stairs.
Yeah, I'm just basking in the visuals. The visuals are like so beautiful. I just like enjoy watching this game. But just a reminder to everyone, like if you enjoy this, and if you want to check out more of what Tasselfoot does, like maybe you really like this commentary. Your commentary's been absolutely killing it, by the way.
Thank you.
Check out Tasselfoot at twitch.tv/Tasselfoot. There we go. Let me just get that typed out. Type that right. Yeah, there we go. I did not typo your name, although I did almost write twitch.tasselfoot.
We should get that domain. There's our memento behind a fake wall. The little swaggy jumps here versus flipping over and flipping back. Don't recommend you actually do that. The swaggy jumps, like most people trying to do that, they wind up falling. Cool little tiny trick right here to save a few seconds. Again, forgiving, so it triggers the light without actually having to flip over. So if you do your birds at the correct time, you won't flip over, and you save a few seconds. But we're gonna get our final power up here. We are going to get our voice back. We've learned how to sing. So we are coming up to the last few minutes of the main part of the run, we'll say. So the last 8 minutes or so is mostly cutscenes and kind of the ending of the narrative. But now that we have our ability to sing, we can use our voice and bring plants and the flowers to life. We're like a Disney princess now.
Yes.
So
the
we're gonna
best
do
Disney princess.
A little dance to celebrate. Whee! So, and we've summoned Spider Friend. And I'm gonna lean forward here. We have a really, really hard trick coming up that I'm gonna try to pull off. It is orders of magnitude more difficult than anything else in the run. I hit it a couple times in practice. We'll give it a few tries, and I'll do my best to explain it as well as we come up to it. So at the end of each of these rooms here, now that we have our sing power up, there's like a themed room at the end. And so this is the bug room on the right side here, and on the left side is the flower room. And there are skips in each of those rooms. But first we have to grab a memento. Can't miss those.
Yeah, those are very important to this.
For this run, yes. They're almost, required, you might say. One might say. So normally, if you're playing this casually, you would probably do this in 2 cycles of the bottom bug here. It will take 2 cycles to move. So we're gonna try to do it in none. So the first skip is right there. That's 1 cycle. Being able to make this, and we're gonna try to do no cycle. I think we got it. Let's go.
Nice.
First try. So that is a pixel perfect coyote jump into like a 2 to 3 frame window second jump after the flip. Ridiculously hard to do. And it saves 23 seconds over no cycle, or over 1 cycle. So 1 cycle saves 10 seconds and no cycle saves an additional 23. Whew.
Very good there. Honestly, like that's what you were practicing when I hopped into the call right before we started the show.
Yeah, it's ridiculously hard. I like hitting it when I was learning it. So the first time I was learning it and trying to figure out how to do it, I was already pretty good at the game, and I just never tried to figure it out. I think it took me over 2 hours to do it a single time to get the timing at all.
Yeah.
So.
Also, for the folks asking why is it called a coyote jump, so if you've ever heard of the Looney Tune character named Wile E. Coyote, how he, if you've ever seen one of those shorts where he runs off a cliff and he's just like, he's actually able to stay up in the air for a slightly extended amount of time before anything actually causes him to fall. That's why we call coyote time, and it's like you can do an animation or walking off of a cliff in a video game and be able to jump before you're still able to jump like X amount of frames after walking off. A very good example of this that most people might be familiar with is Donkey Kong Country 2, when you're rolling with Diddy off of platforms and then jumping out of the off the ledge, or you roll off the ledge and into a jump, and that's what we call a coyote jump.
Yeah, so it's mostly an accessibility feature from game devs. And honestly, at this point, platformers that don't have any form of coyote time feel wrong.
Yeah.
Most people have gotten so accustomed to it that you're so used to jumping at or over edges on stuff that it feels like broken otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing?
Oh no. Yeah, and an even more modern example of it is like Crash Bandicoot 4. You can slide off a ledge, and there's so much generous coyote time in Crash Bandicoot 4. Like, oh my goodness. It allows you to extend jumps that you normally wouldn't be able to make otherwise.
Yep, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So on our way up here, we opened up some flowers. And you might be saying, because like I talked earlier about how we always want to go in water and stuff, but I actually went in a path away from the water, and you'd be wondering, like, well, Tass, why did you do this when you said that water is faster? So you'd be right. It does actually lose time to open up those flowers and travel up, like, over the top of the stairs like I did. It loses a second versus going through the water. However, I have to open those anyway later. And so by opening them now, I get to use them twice. And so instead of opening them later, it overall saves half a second. So it loses a second now, but it saves a second and a half later. And we should have one memento left, and it's right here. I did not mash well enough. If you mash fast enough and jump cancel fast enough, you don't go into that little hole. But I think it's like a really tight window. It might be like 1 or 2 frames to do it because it's very inconsistent. This skip here, I mentioned this is the flower room. I mentioned the skip is very easy. Just mash. Literally just mash to jump cancel. Like any sort of mash at all. And you skip having to flip over to the top side. I don't know if like the devs knew about it and didn't care or what it is there, but it is like the freest skip you can possibly imagine. What are the mementos used for? So if you collect all 28 mementos, which I believe we've done, there is an additional cutscene that you have access to, and achievements. There are 2 achievements. One for collecting all 28 and one for watching the cutscene. So, and as part of the speedrun, we are required to watch the additional cutscene. That was done mostly for verification purposes.
Did you get the one in denial that you leave behind at the beginning?
Yeah. Yes. That okay. I got it right after getting to the blue hub, and then we went left and went into the water.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. I just wanted to make sure.
you had me like worried for a second. You're like, did you get this one? I'm like, oh god, what did I miss? So no, I definitely went and collected that one.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah,
know,
so
like I
here-
saw you go out of your way. I just wasn't sure if that was the right one.
Yep. Yeah, so there was we used those birds again there. That was our second usage. And again, something different with this section than all of the others is that when we're going to deposit our stars, we're not actually doing it back at the hub. So we're going to be depositing them, but we're basically like heading up into heaven to deposit them.
I recall this climb. This shot here is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
I say that a lot throughout this game, but I mean that.
I mean, basically everything. You can like take any still frame, any screenshot, and it's gorgeous.
Yes.
So the main portion of the game is basically done now. We've done our 5 emotions of grief, but we aren't done. We aren't actually done. So one, we have to watch that extra lore cutscene. It's going to give us some backstory here. But 2, we still have 2 additional small platforming sections and 2 additional cutscenes that are going to kind of provide our ending and resolution to the video game.
Yeah, this climb is like one of the like best ways I could think of ending a run. It's just this climb here. It's just very, very like satisfying after everything else that you've seen in the game.
So here we go. Hopefully this cutscene plays. Good. We collected all of the mementos. Valid run. And our reward.
Oh, this is like my first time actually seeing this.
Mm-hmm. I feel bad that you haven't been able to hear the music through all of this.
Yeah.
You're missing out on very crucial elements.
Yeah, like I'm like actually legit sad that every time I've had to watch this, it's been without audio.
Always the VOD.
Oh.
Yeah, so now the final 2 sections are referred to as black and purple. And they are mostly cutscenes here. So, we've gone through our acceptance. We're coming to the end of our emotional journey, but it's not over yet. We still have some demons that we have to deal with. That have been chasing us. That have been us all along. So, and this is kind of like, I look at this section as it's like the night is darkest just before the dawn kind of a situation.
Yeah, that's definitely the vibe I always get from this cutscene.
Is my name based on a certain Kender from a certain book series? Yes. My name is based on Tasselhoff Burfoot from Dragonlance, where I am a giant nerd. Do you think we should pay final respects to Mom?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I think so too. I think it's worth losing a few frames to pay the respects. So I love that too. That it's like it's the broken shards of the statue there. So. Goodbye, Mom.
Oh.
So, and that gives you an achievement also, if anyone's wondering.
Yeah.
So, doing that is actually part of the all achievements run, but every other category, it's a time loss. But we got to pay respects to Mom. Climb up the broken pieces of her statue that we had spent all game putting together, but we can repair her. We have the technology. At this point,
to it.
At this point, let's be quiet. Everyone can just enjoy the final cutscene. So yeah, I hope everyone had their Kleenex or paper towels handy for a good little cry. Time is going to come up in about a minute when the screen transitions from white to black.
Yeah, I just want to also take a moment and thank you for reaching out to me after the any percent showing and offering all mementos and being available for this run as well. And being patient because I had like a bunch of shows lined up and I was like, I can't get you in immediately. Let me like, how does this work for you? And
yeah, I'm sorry that Aggie wasn't able to join. This was originally going to be a race.
Yeah. And like shout outs to Aggie for like at least being willing, and just unfortunately at the end of the day it was just the availability couldn't work out.
And
but
time is coming up. Time.
GG. Everyone get your GGs out for Tass here.
Cool.
And make sure you follow as well.
Yeah, if anyone's interested in this game as a speed game, obviously the Discord is on the speedrun page. All the top runners are still in there and super friendly. If as Pride Month, I think I'm actually like the only top runner of this game that is not female or trans. So very, very open, welcoming community for whoever you might be. And thank you, chat, for all the GGs. But yeah, please join us in Speedrun Greece if it's something that interests you.
Yeah, y'all should check out the community. Our very own Cutie Roo is also a part of the community. She was the one who ran this game back in March for any percent, and just I couldn't think of a better second showing of this this game with all mementos by someone who is genuinely like really passionate about it and really enjoys what they're doing. So thank you, Tass, for being here. Yeah,
I nowhere else I want to be. I will show this game everywhere.
Exactly. And any other closing words you'd like to say?
No. Play GRIS. Buy this game. Play it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game. Like, I really need to go back and watch like the VOD with audio because I have never. I heard some of the audio of the game like back in 2019, like early 2019, and I've not heard it since. So I have no idea what this game sounds like. I just know exactly what it looks like. But yeah, please play this. Go ahead.
Thank you, Amber. I'll just say thank you for having me, Amber.
It's my pleasure. Like, anytime like you happen to pick up a game or know someone who has, like, send them my way. I'm happy to have you or anyone else then on your recommendation. So, and I think it's finally time to move into our next and final game of the night. Coming up next is going to be TUNIC. It's the cute little fox game that also tells its own story with very little dialogue, and through the power of just incredible sound, visuals, and mechanics. So that's going to be presented by TGH, and he'll be joined by Radicoon on commentary. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes. So make sure that you take a moment if you are during the break. Just if you got a sub lying around, like a Prime sub, or maybe you want to gift a sub or anything, your subs, your gift subs, your Prime gaming subs, and all your bits, they do help support weekly hotfix content like this show. So please consider supporting our daily content starting weekdays at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern if you enjoy these hotfix shows. And Games Done Quick Highlights is a channel that features highlights of our GDQ hotfix shows. If you want to find out more about that, use the command !highlights. And maybe you can check out one of those while we're on break. That being said, we'll be right back in just a few minutes, so stick around with more Never Before Seen coming up. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 32 of Never Before Seen. My name is AmberCyprian. I am your host tonight, and we are bringing you one more run of a game that has never been before seen in a mainline GDQ event. As usual, if you happen to speedrun a game or category that has never been run in an AGDQ, SGDQ, or GDQx event, so those are your main stage events, and you would like to submit it to the show, type !NBS into the chat to find the link, and you'd be able to send me your runs, and I would love to have you on board. So, we just finished up GRIS, All Mementos with Tasselfoot, which was a beautiful indie game that has the ability to tell a story with very little to no dialogue. And this game is a little bit different. There is some dialogue in there, but you can't read it at first. So it might as well have no dialogue, right? And it can
Pretty
still
much
get a lot of the same sort of storytelling elements across in such a masterful way. So this is TUNIC. And we have TGH here running the game, and by all means, take it away, Jay.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Hi, I'm TGH, or Jay, as Amber called me. That's my first name. So, but hi, everyone, and welcome to TUNIC any percent. This is a really interesting run. I will say right off the bat that if you have not played this game, there is a bit of a spoiler warning, and this game was just released in March of this year. So just be aware of that. It's very, very well worth a playthrough if you haven't played it. So yeah, and I'm here with my commentator, who is graciously here to commentate. If you'd introduce yourself.
Sure. Hey, thanks for inviting me. I'm Radicoon, or you can just call me Rad. I also run Any% and New Game Plus, and I'm excited to help explain the run.
All right. So I guess without further ado, we'll get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So I think Rad, you can honestly take it away for a lot of the beginning of this run, because like there's a lot of stuff to go through at the very beginning.
Yeah, sure thing. So Tunic is an isometric action adventure about a tiny fox in a big world where you explore the wilderness, fight monsters, and find secrets. And right off the bat, we're gonna find 2 quick secrets. We're gonna put in codes for a bomb and a fire bomb, and we're gonna use both pretty much immediately. We're gonna use the bomb to kind of sequence break into the western overworld where you'd normally need a sword to get rid of these bushes. And then we're gonna use the fire bomb to do a few things, to kill this guard that has just aggroed on us, to burn those bushes you see to the left of this wall, and
Nice.
we're gonna walk right through those bushes and not aggro any of these enemies so we can use this little teleport pad.
I was worried about that not working for the run started, because sometimes that doesn't want to work. Sometimes I think there's a slight bit of RNG to like where the fire splatters, so I was worried about that not working.
I found a really good setup switching to keyboard. So you're using controller, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can switch on the fly to keyboard, and using WASD to kind of do a lineup there makes that really consistent. Later, I guess all the way at the end of the run, we're going to need to kind of repeat that run through to not aggro anybody in that overworld area. So burning the bushes then kind of helps us save like 10 or 15 seconds. But also, it's a mandatory skip at the end of the run. It kind of looks like we're doing something not intended. We're just flying through the game right into Atoll, going after the orb, like a very important item that's going to help us with movement and traversal. But like honestly, this game doesn't actually gate much. It kind of harkens back to the original Legend of Zelda, and big surprise, right?
Yeah.
And there is a critical path the game tries to kind of force you down, but a lot of the game turns out to be pretty open to exploration. You can find yourself in areas that you may not be intended to be, that may be over your level, but there's really nothing stopping us from going right for this orb. But we do have a really, really cool trick coming up. You can see we have the firecrackers equipped. We're going to throw one to get our attention of the guard here. He's going to pull us across if this lineup works. Excellent. And we've just skipped all of Frog's domain. Awesome. And now we have the orb. We're going to do a quick death warp back to our save in Atoll and do some menuing during the death cutscene. Now, the first time you die in this game, you are taken to a sort of a resurrection cutscene. But if you leave your bombs equipped, you can just throw one and death warp in the death scene.
Deathception.
Which saves quite a bit of time. This is a really short run. There's a lot to explain, so we'll move right on. We're gonna quickly pick up an effigy out of this chest after aggroing the guard here. We're going to want to take a little bit of damage here to start kind of damaging down, and then we're going to set up for the effigy skip. Now, typically, to get into West Garden, you would need to go through the Dark Tomb, but instead, we're just going to aggro this turret, and then pop the effigy in mid-flight, which drops us conveniently to this platform and into West Garden. That damage from the turret is intentional. We're getting closer to a death warp by taking that damage. When you use the effigy, it kind of pops the camera into a centered position and plays an animation, and somehow that can cancel our momentum and drop us. I don't think I should explain why there's a sword here.
No, don't. It's here for
suffice it to
speedrunners,
say,
basically.
yes, it's for us.
It's here for speedrunners.
But now we have a sword. Yep. Say hello to Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Yep. Unfortunately, Terry cannot swim, so say goodbye to Terry. And then we're gonna do our third item, secret code. So we get, luckily there's 3 free items you can get per save with these codes, and then we use all 3 of them. They're pretty essential in the run.
Yeah, resources are generally really tight in this run. Like you only get one of these, for instance. So, and yeah, if you mess that up, like you're kind of screwed. So and that's a neat little trick. A lot of the run depends on freezing things and then hookshotting to them with the magic orb.
Yes, a lot just happened that we haven't explained. Like I said, it goes really fast. The run, I would say, is pretty easy tech-wise to learn, right? But relies on pretty careful, low management of health and mana and a lot of consumables. So a lot of restart potential in this run, but it's pretty fun to run besides that. So yeah, I guess we skipped most of West Garden there to get the Ice Dagger, but the mechanic that we use to skip it is that if you freeze an enemy and grapple to them, they act as a hookshot point, essentially. Flying enemies kind of do the opposite, but we're definitely going to abuse that mechanic here in a second. We need one more item to complete the trifecta of what kind of makes this run broken, and that's the magic wand. But before we go for the wand, if anybody's played this game in the early game, you'll remember the Dark Tomb, where normally you need to go get a lantern so you can see. Well, here we are without the lantern. And you can't tell, but we just dodged a bunch of spikes that can kill you pretty quickly. There's a couple triggers to hit here, and then we just kind of have to wait for this sarcophagus stone to move away. We're here for a very important item. It's called the Orange Peril Ring. It's an equipable that gives us double damage if we're in peril state, which is what, 20% health or less?
20%, I believe. Yep.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. That was a successful venture into the Dark Tomb. So
excellent. Yeah.
I'm scary. I'm happy about that.
Yes. Not exactly marathon safe, but let's go. Okay. So we've got all three items now. With this trifecta, we can do something that you don't find casually until toward the end of the game, which is the Ice Beam, demonstrated right there. A combination of same frame on the wand and the Ice Dagger actually produces an Ice Beam, which has essentially the same effect as the Ice Dagger on a single enemy. So a combination of being able to freeze any enemy at any time with a bolt and grapple to any enemy and move enemies off of corners and have them drop through the world gives us some options to skip things. Specifically, we're about to skip the entire quarry by just kind of running through all of those mechanics. Pulling an enemy off the corner, freezing them in mid-fall, and then grappling to them to kind of drag us into the space between, which will drop us below. We do have to hit these two fuses to open the door. Technically, I guess we can skip through the door, but it's slower to drag an enemy all the way over there and use.
Yeah, it's definitely way slower to do that. Probably takes a lot of mana too.
Yes. Mana runs pretty tight in this route. Well, I guess in the marathon safe route, it's not going to run as tight. Normally, the area we're about to go into is, I'd say, maybe the scariest, the most reset heavy part of the run.
This is the run ender right here, but I'm going to be saving. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different route here from what I would do in a PB attempt. So like normally you'd actually save and quit here to get your health back. So you notice like the miasma that I just ran through, it took like all my health away. So now I have a max health of 1, which is intended. Well, it's intended for it to do that to you. Not intended to get here where we are the way we did, but intended for the game to do that. So what I'm going to be doing here instead of saving and quitting and to get my health back is I'm just going to be saving at the start here. Just in case something goes wrong, I would rather have that save point instead of death warping all the way back to a toll. The unintentional death warp. We don't want any unintentional death warps.
Right. This is definitely the area of the game where there's not a ton of options for backups. If you run out of your consumables, you have to maintain pretty tight mana usage and health to stay in peril state. With the saves, we lose the ability to death warp, but it's not a huge time loss because conveniently after the boss, there's a nice teleport pad that'll take us right where we want to go, right back to the save we're currently locked to. So are you going to take the turrets or the shortcut?
The turrets.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to proc the peril ring. Oh, you're still alive. Okay. I'm going to proc the peril ring by taking damage here.
Yeah, we're trying to get below that 20% threshold. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Nice. And mostly the reason we want to do that is to set up the death warp, but like we're not going to death warp here. So what we're doing it here for is double damage. We save these firecrackers just to get the first phase of this administrator off because we can't freeze cheese it. It just reflects the beam in phase 1. But in phase 2, piece of cake. And you can see how broken the ice beam is for speed tech.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
so
normally
that's ice
go
beam
ahead.
plus orange peril ring procking to just basically kind of annihilate that mini boss.
We will see that strategy return soon. Well, I guess at the end of the run.
There will be more of those enemies as well later on in this section, but we're not going to really fight those.
Yeah, the ladder doesn't proc, right, until you've killed the first administrator, but that's not how the second section works. Yeah. So upcoming, we have to enter this room really quickly to pick up this lure, which we're going to use on the second boss. We're kind of doing a reverse boss order than what's kind of casually intended, but casually we'd be entering an auto scroller that lasts about a minute. Instead, we found this really convenient skip where we hit a load zone and end up on the other side of it.
Just wing.
Yeah.
And we're going to save there for safety too.
Yes. There's some history to that the inclusion of that load zone, but this run is fast and we don't really have time to talk about it. Suffice it to say, we do call it the Kevin clip.
Something to note too is that in a PB attempt, I'd be running through this entire section with 1 HP. So just keep that in mind as I run through this. So
1 HP and just enough magic, right?
I rolled twice there actually to bait that one spider to actually come over and like sort of block the other spider. It's a really weird strat, but that's what those 2 rolls were for. We're just gonna freeze those admins there. These are called administrators, by the way.
Yes. Those berries you picked up, extremely critical. Kind of makes the last boss fight in the game work. So as scary as it is to pick up that chest, it's very necessary. You're fine.
Relax, admin, relax, jeez.
So coming up, our first boss, what's typically the hardest of the 3 like main bosses to do casually, the scavenger. We're not going to fight intentionally. In fact, we're not going to enter the fighting arena at all. We're going to, I guess, initiate the fight with a wand beam and kind of stay out of the arena, wait till the scavenger approaches us to the edge of their arena and freeze them. And with careful positioning, we'll be able to drag them into a death plane and end the fight pretty quickly. The positioning is really tight. If you are too close to the edge, the ice will explode and push you back. If you're too far away, you will end up dragging the scavenger onto the platform with you with no ability to fight it. But if you're just right,
That's perfect.
absolutely
perfect.
got RNG. Let's go.
Props to that working in a marathon, by the way. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, she actually cooperated fairly well.
And so normally we would just death warp there and back to Atal, but because we have saved in the ziggurat for marathon safety, we can just take this warp pad. It really doesn't lose a ton of time. When you're learning this route, it's totally cool to start with this and then just kind of ramp up the difficulty as you learn the other mechanics.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely would not recommend the faster, like the fastest possible route to like beginners of this run.
And now we've
can
set
be pretty
our
brutal.
point back to the same that it was before. So we're in Atal, and this is sort of the second main area. And there in this area, it's kind of like a square, and in each of the corners, there is a fuse that we need to light to power the teleporter in the center to get to the boss. There's a lot of really fun movement tech in this section. Nothing too complicated about it. We've just really heavily optimized it. Like all members of the community seem to have, added one little tech here and there, run behind this wall or run behind this outcropping. When we found this bird, being able to freeze and grapple to it. Saves a lot of time. Yeah. I think Twix found that. Yeah, it was excellent. Finally, the bird has a use.
That bird is trying its absolute best. And having a big panic over it, too.
Yeah, the birds are really funny. Like, they just, like, they see you and they just freak out.
The third fuse is the best because it is the crab fuse.
Big meaty claws.
These are some scary crabs, actually. They're coming.
Oh, Lord, they're coming.
Oh, gosh. So good.
That was weird. That crab came farther up than it usually does. So actually, that was a bit slow, but that's fine.
There's a lot of moving parts there, but yeah, it's pretty consistent. There's a few ways to get down from there, but we're using the crab emoji to get back into peril state. Are you in peril state?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't need to be in peril state. I'm doing lure on Librarian.
Okay, so
yeah, so the reason I want to damage down is because I am death warping from Librarian.
Right.
Not exactly marathon safe, once again, but
are you gonna dispatch these crabs or kite them around?
No, I'm gonna bait them.
Okay.
So check this out. So we start praying here to saturate to open it, and then we just kind of dodge and run around and get in there.
So, there's a lot to see and hear in this area, but no combat really. It's just kind of like set dressing. Does that make sense? A lot of mood, kind of building the tension up to this fight, and a lot of lore dump, which of course we're just gonna skip. This fight, the strat we use is super interesting. The lure we picked up in the Ziggurat can aggro enemies for us, right? It typically runs in the direction we are facing, averaged over time, and so what we're going to do is lay it facing the opposite direction of the boss, climb down past a point where a death plane will spawn, and then kind of wait for the lure to wrap back around 180 degrees, walk toward the boss. Once we are safe, the boss will attempt to approach us and should run right into the death plane.
Hopefully.
There is like a 20% chance he can do the orb attack, and then you're just dead. Oh, perfect.
That was flawless. That was like actually super good RNG.
That was super fast. That was way faster than I remember ever seeing him die.
Ooh, that's a scary one. Scary death warp. Yeah, fun fact, that has to be done at 100 hertz or less?
Yeah, I run on 120. But
okay.
I think I think it's 120 or less.
That's right.
Or else
somehow
the lure just goes right off the edge.
Yeah, I was running 144 for the longest time, and I think I gave it like 100 attempts and could never get it to work. Thought it was an urban legend. Dropped it to 60. Works every time since then. So be aware of your monitor settings when running this game.
Yeah, like it actually changes the physics of a lot of different things, like very slightly, but it's enough there to actually affect the strat.
Right. I think that's the only time it really comes into play in the current route, I think. Okay, we are now approaching the last of the...
that didn't work. Okay. All right, let's
probably
do this
save
then.
quit, or yeah.
No, we'll just do this.
Backup, we'll actually open the shortcut.
Actual backup.
Yep.
Actual intended method. Let's go.
This is the way the route used to go until somebody found you could skip with the... we had enough magic to make it there. And now we're going to damage down with these slimes. So we're just immediately in peril state.
Sign.
Oh, the classic sign pull. Let's go.
You really wanted to read that sign.
I really wanted to read that.
The little bit of English in this game, Forest Fortress. Now you know where we're going. I don't need to say it.
Hello? What is going on right now? Okay.
You should still have enough magic.
No, I didn't have the wizard there anymore, though. That was the problem.
Right, yeah. I mean, from a save and quit, I think you're fine.
Yeah.
You should be fine, yeah. Normally, you're intended to go...
Why is that being blocked? Oh, because I don't have... Oh, my goodness. I don't have this equipped. All right. Let's see.
Let's go.
I should still be fine. I just have to do the old method, which... I
think the old method takes more magic? Because it uses orb more?
Yeah, it's just four shots. I should be fine. No, I'm out. Okay. All right. So what do I do here? What do I do?
If you die, you're not. You haven't used any consumables.
I'm gonna die on purpose.
Yeah, this one split is
sucks.
super fun because it's like even if the worst happens, you haven't used up any consumables, or I mean, you can just when you're still learning, you can repeat this split over and over and over, and it's one of the more forgiving ones in the run. So
Yeah, like if there's going to be a trouble split, this is a good split to have trouble on in a showcase.
Yeah. The run had gone flawlessly up until this point, so yeah, there we go. It helps when you don't have sword on your button 2 instead of the ice dagger.
all 3 of my PBs, I forgot to switch to orb for the scavenger, so I feel your pain.
Yeah, it's hard. Honestly, sometimes it's hard to like keep track of where exactly your items are in your inventory. There we go. That's better.
That movement is so sick. We're basically pushing that enemy back to the door, freezing them, and then there's a mechanic when you orb to a frozen enemy, it kind of pushes them back, and we push them through the door and then grapple them again before they break out of ice, which pulls us through the door. So we've skipped basically the entire Forest Fortress, both the approach to it and the actual fortress itself. Now this boss is fought pretty traditionally, I guess. No death planes, but
loud sound warnings, by the way.
Yeah,
this boss gets allowed, and yeah, traditionally, this is the way everyone fought this boss, right?
Yep, absolutely. Basically every 2 3-hit combos, you're gonna stun it, and you just get it into a stun lock. So, with the right setup of just kind of, I think it's 4 1-2 combos to start. It's like basically no RNG at all. As long as you're set up correctly, you're good to go. Let's see. So what are we going to do now? We've beaten all 3 bosses, or the main bosses. We're going to pick up the red key here. And we don't actually have access to the Sacred Temple to drop them into place because we haven't gone to either of the bells. But using the same speed tech that we used to get into the siege engine fight here, we're going to also use a blob, affectionately called Blobby, to clip through the Sacred Temple door. And then the frame perfect tricks start.
Yep, and then the run starts. Sort of.
Yeah. Do you want me to explain that now?
Yeah, sure. This is
okay. So think we got to drop these keys into slots, and each of those key drops plays like a 25-second cutscene or so. Well, what we're going to do is when we have the opportunity to drop the key and the prompt for the A button comes up, we're going to pause, hover down to save and quit, hit B on the controller to make the menu go away. But in the small frame window where the menu and the game are loaded simultaneously, we drop the key and save and quit with A. So it's like a B then A, like maybe 2 frames apart. It's only like a 1-frame window, something like that.
Yeah, it's 2 frames exactly.
Did you get both of them?
I got the first one. I did not get the second one.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah. This is the trick you don't want at the end of your speedrun, basically. Especially not to do 3 times, but that was it right there. We got it.
Yeah, and it's such a huge chunk of time that once you get kind of at the end of your journey with this category, you're pretty much not going to PB unless you get both first try. And then the last one you can actually death warp. So at one point that was the scariest death warp, and now it's the easiest key to drop.
Pretty much.
In this room. So with that, we have access to the final boss fight. We're going to retrace our steps here. We cut those bushes earlier, and here are the bushes we burned at the very beginning of the route. We retrace our steps, and we're going to warp to the air fight. We're gonna do a lot of the same tech you saw in the ziggurat with the administrator, where we freeze, kind of a 1-2, and then freeze again, and we're just going to cheese that over and over. But we don't have enough magic to do that. There's also a key skip there, I guess I should say. You can kind of skip an intro cutscene to kind of initiate the fight early. We have to damage down.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
How did that hit me? Okay, all right. Nobody look.
Yep.
Okay.
Nothing to see here.
We're gonna do that again.
This is an intentional fight to lose, right? That's even if you have no fail mode on in this fight, it turns it off because the game wants you to lose this fight. We really need to win this fight. But if you die here, it starts playing a like minute-long cutscene and then pushes you into a point in the game where you can't really reload. So it is a hard fail moment in the run. But that's what those 3 berries are for that we picked up in Lower Ziggurat. It stretches our mana usage just enough to be able to keep up this cheese combo throughout the fight, both phases. I think we have maybe 2 ice beams to spare of magic across both health bars. Let's go.
Okay, so that's phase 1.
Yeah, phase 2 has less health, but scarier patterns. But not for us. We're just like, chill out. And we just keep going with the same strategy. Worth pointing out that the Ice Beam was intended to cost the same mana originally as the Dagger. And it was sort of an oversight that it only costs 1 Wand Beam. And we are happy to take advantage of that fact.
Time is coming up, and time.
Let's go.
Sorry, by coming up, I mean now. But yeah, that's time. That's the run. That's the run. The totally single segment, not debugged.
I am muted. God
Tunic.
bless it.
Tunic any percent run. But yeah, shoutouts again. Shoutouts to Radicoon for the great commentary. I seriously would not have been able to do that run without whilst commentating to that degree. So seriously, thank you. Thanks very much for helping me out there.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, please get your chi-chis, your GGs out for TGH. Follow him over at twitch.tv/TGH_SR.
Yep.
TGS is what I was about to say, actually. And you can follow Radicoon over at twitch.tv, if I can get this spelled right. We all know I'm very good at typing and speaking today at twitch.tv/Radicoon.
Also follow twitch.tasselfoot.
Get out of here. But no, I had that outburst because so for those of you who don't know, TGH and I live in the same house. We're in the same room, and I have tried to speak a number of times, or at least make a couple of jokes here, and I've been muted every single time.
Wow.
So,
I'm sorry.
Well, just because I don't want this sound bleed. But here we are. But no, seriously, thank you for showing this this runoff. I know that you've been doing Pokemon Ironmon attempts lately, so you haven't really been speedrunning a whole lot, either this or Zelda, even though those are still your main kind of speed games. But you agreed to do this like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And I was
this was a lot of fun to come back to. I'm always happy to do marathon runs, showcases. This is a great game, by the way. Please go get this game if you haven't played it. Hopefully this run wasn't too much of a spoiler for you. It really isn't, honestly, as far as the whole premise of the game is concerned, but definitely go check it out. It's worth your time for sure.
Yeah, and shout outs to Finji for publishing this game. They also published Chicory, which was talked about during the Celeste run. Shout outs to Kevin Regami for of Power Up Audio hey, he's right there. There's his name. For being part of the staff for this game and Celeste. All audio direction. Please don't tab out. I am vibing here.
My bad.
But yes, this game is on Game Pass, and again, thank you both of you for being here, and thank you Radicoon for the sick commentary, really, really well explained throughout the entire that entire run, honestly, and Jay for agreeing to show this off as well. So if you haven't followed either of them, you should. Twitch.tv/Radicoon, that's RADICOON, and twitch.tv/TGH_SR. I literally spelled it out. You can't get any better there. But no, seriously. Do you have any closing words, you two? Also closing wheels. I don't.
Sure.
Don't ask why.
I've got some closing wheels. I want to shout out some really great community members that have helped kind of route this run and given a lot of encouragement. Glacy, Ori, Silent, Piper, Sunny, Twix, Caleb. There's so many of you. It's such a young, Discord. The game's only been out for 2.5 months, and it's already really fun to play. We have a lot of great categories. New Game Plus is even shorter and more streamlined if you want somewhere to start. it's it's unforgiving in the sense that you have to reset a lot when you mess up anything. So if you have that kind of a patience, the run is still pretty short. The speed tech is pretty easy, and it feels like really fluid to play. I don't quite know how to explain it, but the way you can kind of buffer your actions, it just ends up being really pleasing to just run the game. It feels really sick. It's excellent game, obviously, and super shout out to Andrew Schuldice or Dicey for an amazing game and being like a great supporter of the speedrun community around it.
Yeah, you mentioned that at the very end. Like, honestly, like the devs of the game, like the dev team especially, has been like super friendly with the speedrunning community, and like they've worked with us to make this as accessible of a speedrun as it can possibly be. So yeah, huge shout outs to them. And yeah, thanks very much, everyone. Shout out to the whole community as well. Just like Rad said, I can't really add anything onto that, honestly. As far as the community is concerned, just thank y'all very much. Student community is awesome. If you do want to get into the speedrun, it's super cool, and thanks for having me as well.
Yeah. And that's going to be it for Never Before Seen. You should consider picking up this game, by the way. What you saw here is just like fragments of the full experience. I do not run this game. Someone is asking. I don't run this game. I just am familiar with the speedrun on a very, very base level, by proxy of like knowing TGH and watching his runs, and living with him and whatnot. So you kind of pick up a lot of commentary for games you don't actually run. Like, I can probably commentate a couple of Zelda games still, simply because that's what TGH does when he speedruns.
Because you live with some nerd that runs Zelda.
Yes, exactly. But that being said, there is nothing else planned for tonight other than a raid, and a couple of announcements as well. Just to remind everyone, Flame Fatales will be having its next all-women speedrunning event, Flame Fatales, in late August. So if you want to find out about that, type !FF in Twitch chat, or go to gamesdonequick.com/Flame Fatales for more information. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hi! You should go to twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick if you're interested in looking at our live content. That starts weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern, weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. And tomorrow we have Kirby and the Forgotten Land on the First Step, hosted with, J Hobbs and Keyzeron, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. They will be the only show on tomorrow because Victory Lap is taking a week off. They will be back in 2 weeks. That being said, I will be back in 2 weeks as well on the 15th with Air Angel and Midnight Vesper showcasing Spectacular Sparky, and let me get the name of this right, because I promise I will get it wrong otherwise if I don't look at my messages with Vesper. Karma Flow, the rock opera video game. That's going to be on June 15th, starting between 9:30, 10 o'clock, depending on when Mercy Kill ends for that week. But seriously, I will see you all later on. Send all this positive energy to the next person that we raid, and have a great rest of your night. Bye.